Mm. All right, we're live. Um, at my space, promised I would do this. I got to flip the camera without dropping the phone. Um, there we go. This is a Danish bookshelf with a cabinet. Cabinet door got kicked off that side, so I have the door at home. I'm going to work on that separately. I'm going to do a live thing later. Um, I'm going to do this, and I will post this so people can catch up on it. As you can see, I used some clamps. I used a plastic bag so it wouldn't stick, and I just used just a regular tight Bond 3 to pull this together. Just gonna pluck off the loose junk. There's also some edge damage here, so I need to work some glue in if I've got it, and then put some Timbermate probably. It's not super critical way down here. This is crumbly, so I'm gonna have to dig out some of this loose stuff to get space to get glue in there. Actually, I'm gonna use Quickwood, which is basically an epoxy putty. And then lastly, so I don't look like I'm selling junk, you will see the edge. There's some veneer missing and so on. But there's a big void here. Oh, we have somebody watching. Oh, we lost them. This is, I think most of the spongy loose stuff is gone. Now we got 2 people watching. So good morning. It's unfortunate, but I'm not doing this on a Friday or Saturday, but for the people that are up early and can look at their phones, who are curious about this stuff, welcome. Now we have 9 people. All right, that was fast. So let's see. You are going to be able to see what I see, and that is my trusty toolbox. In here, I have some red and black stuff. These are my close-up glasses. I don't think I need those. Those are my mix-all pigments. So there's a series of browns. Let's hold them up so you can see. This is how I judge them. There's a kind of that warm brown, just a regular medium brown, and then a dark brown. And I use that for tinting stuff. This is the Quickwood. This is the Quickwood cutter. And there are my wood stain markers for touching up furniture in a hurry. And then here's a whole collection. I am not sure why I have so many red. I don't retouch that much red stuff, but I do mix up tones to match certain colors. And then there's, so probably the number one, there's a maple. I use this a ton because it's for light colors. And then I will mix with that, even though there's supposed to be like a white tinting base, which I almost never use. What we'll be concentrating on is the Quickwood here, and the knife, and the tints. So I'm going to go back over to here, and we're a little bit in the shadow, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up. That's a little bit lighter, and then that is probably too dark. It's not as dark as the shadows are indicating. Something like this is pretty close. So here's how it works, or at least here's how I do it. This little button keeps this stuff from drying out. You get it from Woodcraft. The price is probably going to go up with the tariff situation or whatever's going on, but Excuse me. I'm going to take what I think is about the volume, and I'm just going to slice off a piece. So you'll see there's a lighter center, and then there's that darker ring. And so this is basically like the solids, and inside the white part, that's your hardener. Peel off the plastic unless you want that to be part of your repair. Shake up the pigment stuff. So this is just brown. It's plain old brown. They're not that expensive. Like little liquid dyes. You can make a bunch of dye, so they're very cost effective. But at the same time, it's a little bottle of dye to stain stuff is $26 now. Price is probably going to go up on that too. This, by comparison, is you can do a lot with it, and it's only $7. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blob some pigment in here, and we will see how the color comes up. It does. I think the Quickwood has a tendency to lighten once you mix all that white stuff in the center. I think it kind of lightens up the color a little bit. But when doing a repair, what you want to do is keep it lighter than the wood, because you can paint on or use markers, or you can use something to get that final color. And that gives you greater flexibility, a greater opportunity to match what's going on around the wood. So right now I'm just going to, and sometimes you can like drill a small screw, or you can put a dowel in there. I've squished all this together with regular wood glue, so I feel like that is probably okay. Quickwood is, I think it's rumored to be 5 times harder than most of the woods you're going to work with. And so we're going to trust that once it's set, it's going to be a lot stronger than the particle board that was there. So that would be that. I'm going to mix up a little bit more. We didn't get quite as much on the side probably as we'd like. And I'm going to do a little bit more Quickwood here and fill these spots. A lot of times I'll use Timbermate for these surface fills, but given that it'll be Quickwood, the Timbermate sticks to wood and not to super high density adhesives here. So I'll just mix up some more. Once you mix this up, you can't do anything with it. So if you run out of places to apply it, you are going to end up making little sculptures with the leftovers. Mixing, it's up to you. The heat from your hands will soften this up and make it a little easier to squish. I'm going to give it some more brown. I'll just work that pigment just fold it until it's kind of pushing its way out from the inside. Let's keep rolling it like doing some bakery goods. This will set up in about 20 minutes. If it's hot, if the temperature is warmer than that, anything that's a 2-part epoxy or adhesive will set up faster. And then I do have a putty knife. I didn't bring any water for this because it's, to be honest, it's, I kind of, this is a bit of a courtesy to the people that buy this, hopefully. I mean, it's going to help me sell it if it doesn't have, some big weird dents and missing chips and so on. Just going to smear this. But what you can do is you can you can take a knife like this and you can actually take water, and what it does is it allows you to flatten out. It won't stick to the blade as much as it is now, but it will let you really smooth out and match the kind of the level of the repair. Climb the ladder here a little bit and shove a nugget in there. It's a little tricky to work with gloves sometimes, especially if you end up with some quick wood on the gloves, then it doesn't want to let go. But I used an epoxy putty when I was younger, and it gave me this kind of rash on my hands. So I'm looking to avoid that by wearing the gloves. So safety first. Oh, we lost our light on the timer here. Let me go fix that. So that problem solved. We're going to move on to this. I don't know if this is water damage or what happened, but I think if I just push some of this in here. I don't want to stand the whole bookcase on its head and pour glue in here. It's not that big a deal to me to see this do anything but kind of get smoothed out. It's going to need, we're going to need some solid wood and a bunch of quick wood to kind of just fill in that area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shift, let's see. It did irritate my skin. So, yeah, it's for Tanker McVeigh. Hey, Tanker. Yeah, there's certain things in woodworking that are called sensitizers. So, excuse me, still getting over some flu. Some things are sensitizers where you can have kind of a reaction one time, and then the reaction just gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm not interested in finding out if working with this stuff with bare hands will trigger more serious reactions and allergies, which could get exacerbated by working with certain woods and oils. It's kind of like cancer and carcinogens. You don't know. If you ask a chemist, they'll tell you it's not how much exposure, it's just how your body reacts to getting exposed to certain things. So, like I said, sometimes I put little screws or pins or something to go into the wood so the quick wood has something to hang on to. In this case, there's so little left, and I kind of trust the adhesive qualities, but what I might do is actually create a little plate. I might measure this, and then on my table saw, I'll cut maybe a 1/4 inch hardboard. I'll put some screws on it to help hold that area together. And as far as this repair goes, I will mix some of this stuff up. Then I will see how much I need to mix, because like I said earlier, if you mix this up and you don't need it for your repairs, you can end up making, I don't know, like a bird, make a bat, a really ugly bird, maybe some kind of sci-fi monster, maybe like a, what is that? Some weird character. I was going to try and make a penguin, but I'm not an artist. And so you just want to make sure that everything's the same color. You want to get the white stripiness out of there. And then again, if you keep the tones lighter on this stuff, then you can use gel stains is what I like to use, but you can add color and you can use gel stains. You can build up the colors to match what's happening here. And then you can add your streaks. So you can do a darker brown and then, keep it light here. And then you can add like a, this would be like a Java gel stain from, I use General Finishes, but that would give you close to a black, but a very dark brown, but just get a few different gel stains. Just put some streaks in there and it will blend in. So I'm already feeling better about this bookcase's chances of selling. I am going to quick wood the door at home probably later today. So I will set this up on the Flipping Idiot channel. So please like and subscribe. I'm curious to see how this turns out. This is one of those things where if you get a piece of furniture and you have a storage space, it's on this side of it. There's some patches over here. I'm going to mention too. This is at my storage space. Somebody left this behind. It was like a rolling coffee table, and it's been super handy for just taking something large like this, kind of resting it on its back, and then being able to move it easily. So it's like a big operating table. But I think I'm just gonna. A lot of this stuff, like I said, I'll use Timbermate, which is a water-based wood filler. Just put a putty on there. This is a little bit more work to work with the Quickwood because it's so hard. It's more work to sand. It's a little denser when it comes to colors and so on, but you will find that once you get going with Quickwood, if you have the pigments you need, that it's so easy and so fast, and it's going to stick. Like Timbermate, if it gets wet, it gets weird. So if you find you need to clean something off, you'll kind of have to be careful not to dissolve your patches. Whereas Quickwood is going to be super hard. And quick to work with. All right, that is in frame. All right, so yeah, just a little patch up there. So I think that's a pretty good amount of, I stopped saying quickwood, but it's quickwood. I'm going to pull a little bit extra off, move this up, and then just on the toe here, I want to just kind of square up that corner. The problem with these bookshelves, as you can see, is they kind of get tipped. Like people have to get them under a door, or people have to move them on a furniture dolly, or they get dragged from one place to another. And the particle board just isn't the most durable thing. And then once the particle board chips, then the moisture gets into it, and then it starts to swell up and you lose the glue bond. I'm poaching a little bit of quickwood from my repair. And let's see if I can make some touch-up repairs here. I don't want to overthink it because I do need to put just a little bit more quickwood into that center panel. It's kind of square. Trying to put just a hair more into this patch. Okay. So last part is to just good morning to Peter. I'm just going to clamp that before it sets up too much. Let me see if I have any. Oh yeah, I do have a. Gonna hold that together in case it goes from sort of setup to super setup. Let's smooth this out. Okay, so a little bit more, set the rest of my quickwood close to it. Just have to decide how badly I want to fill this gap. It's all right. The quickwood's getting kind of weird. Let's see. I gotta find there's an overlap here of where the plastic. I don't know. It's bad TV. Let's just slice it. So peel the wrapper off. There's no plastic left. So I think I bought this thing for about $50 US. I think once I put about $10 worth of quickwood into it and pigment, it's Danish modern. It's used, and if I do a good job, I could probably make $200 on it, I would guess. I mean, I could put it out there for $240, $250 because it has the cabinet. That's the one thing that I've sold cabinets to dealers, I think, for just the bookshelves for $200. And so the cabinet part makes it more desirable. So I'll have to do some research, but Danish things if you get to recognize teak, if you're not familiar with the wood grain, it's a beautiful wood. It always has. It has. Let me show you the door. The grain, it has these very distinct, like a lot of contrast in the grain structure. So you end up with these really sharp browns next to yellows. And so um, it's for me, it's very distinctive. There's no other American wood. I mean, mahogany is mahogany, but it doesn't have. Let me show you this over here. Like this beautiful pattern here, that is a dead giveaway, or that stripiness over there. Teak is very distinctive for me. So when I walk in, I mean, I've seen, if you're interested in flipping furniture or just getting your hands on nicer modern furniture, there was a small cube of a piece of furniture. I think it was actually like a Danish minimalist, something for holding drinks. And man, this is way too much quick wood, but let's start throwing it on there. So it was a cube, but some college kid has gotten his hands on it, and it just looked ridiculous. It was just covered with stickers. And so that was one thing that I bought for, I think, $8. And my friend who flipped furniture at the time, he couldn't understand why I was buying it. But I immediately saw that beautiful teak veneer, and I paid the $8 for it. And so I was there with a either heat gun or blow dryer, and I was warming up the stickers, cleaning off the adhesive and stuff. But I think that I sold for 250 or 300. So I'm starting a new channel called Danish Mod and MCM Rescue, and so I will put some of the Flipping Idiot content on there for starters, and hopefully I'll be able to keep finding the Danish modern. Definitely there's MCM stuff that needs work. It's been my experience that a lot of the MCM stuff just wasn't built all that great. A lot of the workers must have been distracted or something, because I've seen a lot of glue blocks end up in weird places. So I was debating about how much quickwood I should mix up, and I should have gone less than more, because inevitably I end up with too much. This is where I could have used that cup of water, but kind of squeegee off the excess. I don't want this thing tipping back because I put too much quickwood on the foot. So with any kind of repair like this, you want to go, I mean, this you actually probably want to go a little bit not quite flush with this part, because you're going to end up having to sand it back. But with most repairs, you actually want to put a little extra so you can cut it back and get it even with the rest of whatever's going on. So let's see. I'm going to swing back this way, and as long as I have some extra, I'm going to make sure I have enough to build up this area. Oops, there's the fingertip off my glove. I pull that out. So this stuff doesn't have any grain, so it cuts and sands pretty well. Like I said, it is harder. I use woodworking files a lot because they give me a lot of area to kind of register with the cut there. I mean, you kind of grab them with two hands and you can cut it back. So that's one way that I kind of finish the job. Let's look at some of the patches over here. Let's see if I've got maybe some glue for that. Decisions. This is where I got smart. If Type Bond is out there, I'm going to tag you or something. I got this sample from a woodworking show. So I have this teeny tiny baby bottle of glue that I could keep in my space now. Come on. Oh, I really fumbled the ball there. So I'll shove that in there. Shove some in there. I'm sure there's some furniture repair people that are just positively horrified right now. Honestly, the other way to do this, which is a pretty good way for, in my opinion, is you get a better applicator. You get a better applicator, and then you get some super glue, some CA or cyanoacrylate glue, and then you just pull this back, you paint in a little glue, you spray some activator, and you squish it, and then it sets up in seconds. That's a bummer right there. All right, don't go away. Yeah, there's one other panel down here that I was trying to pry it back but not peel it off. So still have some quick wood cooking in my hand. Wipe off the screwdriver, set aside the glue. I'm going to pull that off, and then I am just going to shove some quick wood onto these areas. There's a big patch up there. Feeling pretty good about that right there. Build it up so we can actually have kind of a square edge again. And again, don't worry about the color. It's not perfect, but I have Candlelight Gel Stain from General Finishes, which I call mid-century modern in a can. It will give you that kind of warm reddish brown that a lot of modern furniture, Danish modern and mid-century modern furniture has. So yeah, if I had the super glue and the activator, I could be a little bit more delicate about, and I would know exactly what pieces are going to get used. But at this point, I'm just going to carpet bomb this repair. with, oops, let's save that. I'm going to shove that in there. What's going to happen is when I sand this down, there's going to be parts of the teak that are still there in place, and then there's just going to be areas where I just have to colorize the quickwood. Feel free to comment if you have any questions. I use quickwood some, but there's other people that I know are absolute masters with quickwood. What a professional restoration guy gave me as a nugget of wisdom is when you have your quickwood and you want to put color into it, you can take your can of gel stain, and then you go down to the bottom when it's settled, and you can grab the pigment and you can mix that into the quickwood to get exactly the color that you want. If I had a shop and I had more experience doing something like that, I would totally try it. I think I've done it once or twice, and I just find that the little bottles of pigments get me a lot closer, or pretty close. Let me rephrase that. Adequately close. So, um, is a perfect repair ideal? Yes. Is it going to happen every time? Probably not. Can it make you crazy worrying about it? Absolutely. So, I think without putting my close-up glasses on that this is pretty close for an old Danish bookshelf. Just want to make sure that that corner has enough to where I can file it kind of square. This is where I'll take any extras and I'll just kind of plug them in. And like I said, there are going to be certain areas where you want to overbuild it so that you get a nice line. And there's the idea is to have this look like nothing happened, I guess. And we will hide a lot of the damage with the quickwood and repair the damage with the quickwood. It's not like we're not doing anything. Like I said, this is some pretty hard stuff, and it's going to add some strength to it. Like I said, I could put a board here and a board there. I don't even know if I need to. I don't know. I worry about this stuff, but it might be not that big a deal. And so here's what happens with the quickwood. I always, I think I look for places to use the extra. I'll mix up too much. I'll look for places for the extra, and then I'll find that I actually need a little bit more. And then I'll feel like a dummy a couple different ways, which is kind of why I'm the flipping idiot. Actually, the front here is, the front's a little lacking and kind of chipped up. Actually, on both sides, it's kind of rough. So I'm going to steal some. I'm going to steal some from this repair. Lost our motion detected light again. Okay, far corner. I think you can see me doing it. I'm going to pack some in there, build up that kind of the toe of the bookshelf. I'm going to come back here. get our light back on. I'm gonna pack some in here. This is actually, the veneer is coming apart a little bit. Let's get the lights back on. There we go. So just so you can see what I'm seeing, where'd it go? There we go. We're gonna shove some quick wood in there. Pack that in while it's still pliable. So it's kind of cool in here, but like I said, it's about a 20-minute setup time. But if you put this on something on a sunny day, I think you're going to be able to sand it probably in about 10 minutes. It will set up, and it will set up very hard. Excuse me. Come over here. I'm going to grab a clamp off another repair I was working on. And oops, that's not enough. I guess we'll just let it be what it is, and we'll trim it back. Gloves are falling apart. So like and subscribe in case I make this a regular video, or there's other, you want to see what's going on with this particular piece of furniture. There's a if you have access to Danish furniture, you can make a lot of money fixing teak furniture. You just simply may not see it if you're in a smaller town. But if you travel to the city and you find teak furniture there, and you can fix it up and bring it back to city folks or find people in the country. Anything that has teak was probably made in Denmark. And that means that it traveled a long ways. It's expensive. It's fancy. Yada, yada, yada. And so there's good money to be made. Either finding Danish furniture to flip, or maybe fixing scratches for people, because it's actually a very forgiving wood when it comes to fix up and touch up. So we're going to change gears. I did this last time for people that were already tuned in. Kind of smooth that out. This is a little bit weird, but I moved on to working on that antique, the feet. And so we glued up the clamshell in the front, and the, I'm not sure what you call those. You can see the glue clamps on the feet. And I just want to get the legs back together so I can sell that. I'm not looking for a lot for it. I was going to paint it or do amazing flipping stuff with it. Excuse me. But I just need to, I'm going to cut down on the amount of rental space that I have, given that the economy has cooled off at the present moment. But definitely, like I said, like and subscribe to my channel, because even if you're not trying to flip furniture, if you want to know how to take a nice piece of furniture and repair it, I will do what I can to give you the best chance possible for making repairs and improvements. Let's see, was it a Sea Pilot? No reason to repair fiberboard. Well, I mean, if it's too cracked up, like just to wrap it up on that one. Um, uh, it took me whatever 10 minutes or something like that, 15 minutes. Took a little bit of quick wood, so maybe $3 worth of quick wood. But if I can make that look solid, and then like there's a point at which you don't want somebody to tip a piece of furniture that you're flipping into the car because it reflects on you, whether you had anything to do with the corner being worn off or not. Um, and then there actually is a reason to repair this particle board, because that door, um, there's a hinge, and I think the door just got opened up and kicked right off by accident. There's one of those European style, those pocket hinges that plug into the door, and that is just torn out. And so I'm going to actually do a surgery, and then I'm going to use quick wood to repair that door and get the hinge plugged back in. Because without a door, yeah, it's like a $150 bookshelf. But with a door, then it could be a close to a $300 piece of furniture if I sell it. If you had this and you just wanted, you got it for $40 because it was broken and you had enough parts to repair it. This is, if you look them up, that's like a $900 bookcase with that cabinet box, I think. So do some homework on it. Look at them online. You want the solid sides. Some of them are like a two-part hutch thing. They're really cheap and not very good. That was the first one I ever saw recently that had that. But you could get it from like a thrift store with a busted door for $40, and then you could take it home. You could fix it up, and then you'd have a $900 Danish bookshelf at your place. If if you don't have a lot of money, but you want that for yourself or for someone you care about, it's never a bad time to know how to fix stuff, I guess, is what I just said about that kind of thing. So this guy is obviously cracked but reattached. And so I might smear some, I'm going to sand it back, and then I'm just going to smooth that out. So I will probably do that with a flexible sanding cloth called emery board, or emery cloth. Give this a spin. See how we did on this guy. Actually, I'm going to take the gloves off because my gloves fell apart and I ended up getting my thumb all painted up. So I will wash that off at the closest opportunity. But before I go home and walk Shop Dog, I'm going to peel this off. And then I'm going to see. See if I can tear it and get it to go. So when I was working on this, somebody said it's going to come apart, so I need to pin it. So, it's a possibility. What I would probably do is just go through the back side of it into the foot, and then put a dowel in there to further connect it and lock it. I don't think that's coming off. Whoops, that's a piece of veneer. It's probably some more Timbermate. All right. So this guy, twisting. So let's see. We've got this stabby thing here, punch owl. I'm going to see if I can dig out that tack. This metal tack is what's holding everything together. And I think I took the needle nose pliers home. Okay. So we have this piece. And we have that piece. You know what? This is going to be great, actually, because this will kind of register all the pieces. I just need to get some glue down in there. All right, let's do it. Where's a tiny bottle of glue? Grab a backup cleanup rag. Here's a cleanup rag from before. So let's bring you along. Oh, 36 people watching. I wonder what you guys do. I wonder where you guys are. I'm wondering if, now that I'm doing some live broadcasts, and I'd like to do more, because it really allows me to do longer videos. Because some of these repairs, they take time. And a lot of people have short attention spans these days. But I mean, they're also super busy, and there's a lot to worry about and stuff to do. But I'm starting to wonder if there's nighttime viewers in Australia or England that are curious about antique furniture. I mean, if you're in Australia where you have certain awesome Australian hardwoods that I am jealous of, but you've never had a chance to work with black walnut, and I tell you that people just throw black walnut furniture in the trash basically around here, I think you would be a bit stunned by that information. So anyways, I'm wondering if people are, if you're sitting in front of the TV and, I don't know, like New Zealand, watching this happen as opposed to sitting around the breakfast table in America. This is happening right between Minneapolis and St. Paul at a rental space live. Let's see. Ideally, for pressure's sake, I would probably have a large elastic band that I could clamp here. Under the circumstances, let's see. Shoot. I think I'm going to take some painter's tape. I have an elastic automotive tape that would probably be more appropriate. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold that together, keep pressure on it. The tape has kind of failed. I did get a bunch of glue in there, so I'm getting some good squeeze out. So that's reassuring. Sometimes when the tape gets old, it tears in half, the short way rather than the long way, let's say. So I'm going to try and keep that together. All right, and then I don't know how much more this will do. Well, we got some squeeze out, so that indicates we're getting some pressure right there, which is good. I guess we're just going to let that hang on. here's where it gets even weirder than usual around here. I have one more foot to put together, but I think the pieces are in this bottom drawer or top drawer. It's currently the bottom. It didn't sound like there's any pieces in there. Oh, there it is. There's the foot. Perfect. Oh, good. That was easy. I thought it would get stuck in the drawer and it would be super weird, and it's not the case. It is, like I said, it's a nice dresser. Has the Roman columns. This style is not popular here. The clamshell, I think that's French provincial, but it has 5 drawers, which is 2 shallower ones and a couple slightly deeper. And so I was going to paint it and try to add some value to it, but where I live, it's just too cold too much of the time. So let's see, let's get everybody set up. Let's turn the dresser. So my kids have this posing doll that I found. It's used, IKEA sells them. It's just like a wooden thing that you can position, but that looks just like the head. So it also looks like the destroyer from Thor, the first Thor movie. So I'm finding some humor in this repair. So this is a felt pad. Took that off. There's that metal tack hanging onto this piece. Like I said, I took my pliers home. I'm going to try not to stab myself live here, but I'm going to see if I can wiggle this loose. Well, that was way more painless than I expected it to be. So I think that's the universe watching out for my dog and making sure that I get back in time so his dad can take him for a short walk while he's coming back from a jammed shoulder. Hang on a sec, lost our light. So it's going to be, or is it? No, it's that. Or is it? What am I doing? Upside down. There it is. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, we need to just kind of knock this back. I'm going to need a knife or a file or something. There's just a little booger of wood here that is making trouble. I'm going to plug my channel again, The Flipping Idiot. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me out. This is one of my stunt chisels. That's not my fishtail chisel. Always bring a utility chisel. Doesn't even have to be super sharp, but it has to be a chisel that was willing to take the hits for the furniture repair team. If I had to, I would sharpen this on a concrete floor. It's not such a precious thing, but it has to deliver. So this is not going to be great. I'm going to get some tape here for when I'm ready to panic. And then I'm going to get some glue on here. Type Bond 3, doing a Type Bond 3 commercial, but unsponsored. So it's an info freebie. What I'm going to do, you can increase the holding power of the adhesive power by letting the glue sit for a little bit and tack up, is what the glue scientists found that study this stuff. And there's something called a rub joint where you can work the glue, although I think you do it with glues that set up with more thermal properties. But there is a point at which there's a suction developing there. I can feel it sticking, but if I kind of just work it back and forth, it's going to get tackier and tackier. And I'm going to use that effect, hopefully, just for positioning. So it's this is not the best repair, but like I said, I think I can sand it back and then maybe wipe the whole thing down with Colonial Cherry. I'm going to, as long as I'm here, if anybody's got any questions. Oh, I just lost a bunch of people. Excuse me again. As long as I have some clamps freed up, I have some glue, I'm going to push this down into there. I'll wiggle it. And then, actually, there's another repair here. We're going to let that leg part tack up while we kind of put together some of the split pieces. I am going to grab my, quick wood serrated knife. I find that the serrated, just a really cheap serrated knife, works great for cutting that plastic on the quick wood. So let's clean off the extra glue. That is one thing about kind of reddish furniture, is it's super easy to work with when it comes to retouching. It's just, once you have the right tones, everything kind of blends very easily. I've been shocked at working on cherry woods and mahoganies that just like those strong reds really smooth out. All right, back to this. Let's see. So the big piece is going to go here. That's kind of hanging on. I got that right side up. That's kind of hanging on. So it's going to kind of work it all together. Less worried about how the bottom lines up than how the neck portion lines up. Not getting much squeeze out, but it is actually holding itself together pretty well already. Let me put a little bit more glue on there. If I can find the glue. What do I do with the glue? There we go. So just a so that feels pretty close. Kind of go for the throat, so to speak. I'm going to try to kind of isolate the neck. Hopefully there's some pressure on there. And then the same thing up here. Okay, I'm feeling the bottom here. This feels pretty flush. And same thing, we'll just put a wedge. I don't think I'm going to do more clamping than that. It's just, it is what it is. Think they're on there. I might do what somebody suggested and maybe just pin them for future resilience. But it was humidity that made the original glue soften up and made the feet just come apart. So like this one, you can see a little bit of a fault line, but I can sand this back and I can kind of blend that finish with a cherry colonial, maybe a Java mix, and maybe a bit of Timbermate to help blend that. You know, just for kicks, I think I'll grab some Timbermate, smear it on there. Feels like that's pretty flush over there, but then this is definitely revealing an edge, but seems to be attached. So nothing else. I'll show you the I don't know. Close. Not that close. This is cherry. So, I mean, we're in the ballpark. And then I'm not going to get too fancy with it. I'm just going to stick a finger in there, and then I'm just going to smear it. What I can do is I can colorize it with a furniture marker, actually. And then I'm going to put probably a quick gel stain, a smear of gel stain onto the repair. And what that will do is it will seal the Timbermate. This is water-based. If you got this wet a year from now, it would just turn back into Australian mud. And so if you do not seal it, then it is vulnerable to moisture. I'm going to do the same thing over here, just to smooth out the repair. Let's see if this is. There's a part here that's separated a little bit, but I don't think it's coming apart. If I had some Quickwood left, I'd fix it, but I used it all up. So I'll just I will use some load-bearing Timbermate. But same thing. You can't see it, but I'm just like smoothing out the voids. So I think that concludes today's repairs. Although, let's see. Let's see. This. As long as I'm here, and as long as you're upside down. It's like a weird song. It's like a romantic song for bats. Just hope I have enough clamps to set this. Oops. All right, I have to jump in front of the camera here. Actually, I want to forget that stuff. Ooh, I'm trying to get stabbed by a clamp. Coming back. So I have this 4-pack of Irwins, and I think it's time to deploy the one-handed Irwin. I don't know if I'd call them a medium squeeze clamp. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at for people still tuned in. So when I have said squeeze out, and I don't know if the same people are watching that were watching before. So you put some glue into the crack here, and then you squish it, and then you start seeing glue come back at you. What that means is that as you open it, it will kind of get sucked down, but will also get pushed out a little bit. And so that's what you call squeeze out. At least that's what I call squeeze out. And so with this clamp, as I squeeze the handle over here, it tightens up the jaws, and then we get a bunch of glue coming back at us, more so than I was just getting by hand pinching it, because there's quite a bit of pressure there. And so and then we just want to clean that up so I have to scrape it off later. And then also keep it off your bars. That's where they have to travel smoothly, and getting glue on those can be kind of problematic. Okay. Oops, take the glove off. Get the glove on for 1 second. Long as I'm here and we're here, and I seem to be very confident that I can make quick repairs using the wrong tones. And again, like and subscribe if you want to see more swashbuckling furniture repairs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some Timbermate onto these veneer gaps. And I'm a huge fan of Timbermate. This is, if you have bare wood, it's water-based, so it needs to stick to raw wood. But if, again, not sponsored, got this at my local Woodcraft. They're great. I love their products. Serious stuff for serious woodworking. This is, water-based. It's a putty, kind of like spackle. Back this up. I gotta go turn on the motion detector light again. Excuse me. Still have frogs from being sick, but sometimes I use the Timbermate in combination. I'm gonna take the glove off. That just looks dumb. What I'll do is I'll put the Timbermate on there, and then I'll use a furniture marker. And so a lot of times the furniture marker pigment or dye or color will go away. But if you I want to say hit it, but if you get it onto, it's going to fill that crack if it's not coming more apart. If I put this on here, it dries, and then I take a furniture marker, the tone, even though I might lose some of the color, maybe with applying shellac or something, it will stick to the quick wood and give you a little bit better repair. This is actually flopping around. We're going to have to glue that and lock it in before we can put a patch on it. So I'm not going to patch this. I will patch. I was going to patch this over here, but this is also flopping around and needs glue. But that will be quick repair. This is kind of wiggling. I think I noticed this before, that it was just needs to be, the nails just need to be reaffirmed. See, this is, all right, that's loose there too. So that needs a clampy clamp and some glue. Rats. All right, I'm gonna have to come back with a glue injector. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think so. I was gonna come back with a bottle that has a needle and glue and really put it down there, but I think we can just have gravity help us. The question is, do I have enough clamps to hold this together? And as long as you have tape, you have clamps. I really do want to lock down this veneer. Let's see. All right, let's fix that first. So I'm going to put the putty knife is going to take one for the team here. Oops. We're going to get the veneer first. Then we're going to work that into, this whole thing is, it's come undone. It's going to be easier to get some of the glue in from the bottom, I think, than from the top. I'm dripping on my furniture. So, are people still paying attention? Let's see. So this is why I do what I do on this channel, or at least this is kind of what this channel, at least that this part of it is known for, is putting a ton of time into fixing something with no value or little commercial value. Let me rephrase. Oh, bugger. Let's put that back on. But come from a family of, at least, yeah, kind of a family of teachers that married a teacher. I did some teaching. And so YouTube was kind of a natural fit. So I could talk about stuff that I enjoy, and like I said, if this helps make life better and more affordable or possibly profitable for somebody, then it's a win-win-win. I'm going to hope that gives enough squeeze and cures up. The tight bond, I believe it's a PVA glue, it gives you enough gap filling power for a lot of these old furniture repairs. It doesn't give you a ton of gap filling, which means if you push things together and they're not entirely tight, that's what I'm talking about as far as gap filling goes. You're not going to see the squeeze out, but let me put some glue in here as long as we're here. Relaminate this edge. And again, honestly, nobody's even going to see this, but if you're thinking about getting into furniture repair and you're wondering how long it takes to do some of this stuff, if you have a plan, you have the right tools, you can certainly speed things along. And with experience, you start to see in your head what's got to happen. So we're going to take this and we're going to loosen it up. And we're going to take the jaw and we're just going to kind of trust. We're going to trust that all that is squished together. Then I have one more Irwin clamp over there. I think I have a wood clamp here. So I will do a blurb. Again, not sponsored by anybody. But this has been a remarkably productive knife. I got to give Rockler's design team some serious credit for this knife. It has these rounded corners so you don't scratch your edges. And skinny. It's also very flexible. So it makes it super easy to spread something like that, or to scrape for that matter. So you see how well that worked. So let's see, we got another glove here. We're going to hope that this mostly locks it in. We'll sneak in one more Irwin clamp right underneath. Then that's it. It sounds like people are doing some work next door. Thanks to everybody watching. Wow, that I've been doing this for a long time. Right, here we go. All right, John the flipping idiot here. Thanks for watching to everybody that was paying attention. I'm glad I was able to get this done because I need to sell these guys to get them out of the space so I can reduce the amount of rental space that I have. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them into, even if it's a totally unrelated video, but you want to know something watching this, maybe somebody checks this out after I posted it. My door is always open, my virtual door. So thanks again for watching. I got to run, got to walk the dog, and maybe buy a little bit more furniture to flip. We'll see. I'm going to go to my favorite store and see if they have anything good. So, oh, yeah. And then definitely like and subscribe. And I'll be doing a video about doing surgery on the door for that Danish modern bookshelf thing. That's going to be pretty intense, and I've really been pushing it off. But if I have enough quick wood at home, we will doing a number of steps to make that cabinet door hopefully come back together. We'll see if we can salvage it. So again, thanks for watching. All right, take care. Be safe in the shop or wherever you're working. All right. Peace out.